Welcome to the Uncle Dre Show.
What do you really know about money? Did they ever teach you about what money is in school? Or has most of what you think you know about money come from the propaganda media? Chances are, if you went to a government school, they never ever talked about one of the most important things when it comes to living and competing in America: money. It's strange that people will spend 13 years of their lives with the government employees that are supposed to prepare you for life as an adult, and they never even once mention money. What it is, where it comes from, how to manage it in your personal life. What's more, most families don't even talk about money. And it's even considered taboo to talk about money with your friends. So what's the big secret? And it is a big secret. The government is perfectly happy to keep everyone in the dark about the thing that many Americans focus on the most and spend their whole life trying to acquire. All this time and energy working for these little rectangle pieces of paper, and they know nothing about them. It's insane, really. But it goes to show you the power of the government's ability to socially engineer people. They managed to get the entire population to spend more time working for globalist corporations and government agencies than they do with their own families. So they can collect more of these paper rectangles and nobody ever ask any questions. So for starters, let's talk about what money isn't. And when I say money, I'm going to focus on the American dollar. Although it's pretty much the same for any currency issued by a government. Money is not a representation of something physical like gold, stored away in a vault somewhere like Fort Knox. While it was true at a certain point in history, the dollar has not been tied to gold since Nixon took us out of the gold standard in 1971. In theory, before that, you could exchange your physical gold for dollars. It was simply a more convenient way of carrying around gold and exchanging gold for goods. Because of this, though, the government could only issue as many dollars as it had gold. This is how many people still think money works, but it hasn't worked like this for over 50 years.
Hey, real quick, I hope you guys are enjoying this episode, but if you would like a Wealthy Child shirt for yourself, or if you would love to gift it to a friend or family, check out wealthychild.co and get one right now. And also, while you're there, check out one of the many children books on financial literacy, whether taxes, money, life insurance, the history of money, the future of money with cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and much more. Also, check out the newest edition of the Money in the Bag. Whole bunch of rhyming poems that all teach your kids about money. Check them all out at wealthychild.co today, and let's get back to this episode.
So what is it backed by? What prevents the government from printing more paper rectangles now? The short answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. That is why it was so important to the globalists that we got off the gold standard. The government wanted to spend more money than it had. This made countries that were doing business with the United States begin to demand payments in gold rather than paper rectangles, because they suspected the United States might be printing more of these paper rectangles than they had in gold. So Nixon's fix was to just remove the connection between the gold and the dollar. This way, the United States could print as many paper rectangles as it wanted, no matter how much gold it had, and countries couldn't demand gold for payment. But that's not possible, you might say. Why is the dollar worth anything if it's not backed by anything? If the government can just print out as many little paper rectangles as it wants, isn't that just making money out of thin air? Well, yes and no. First of all, money has value because the government has socially engineered everyone into thinking it has value. At least that's why it has value to the general public. They've convinced everyone through propaganda companies and forcing people to pay taxes using these paper rectangles that they have value. And if you don't use paper rectangles when paying for government fines and taxes, they will use violence and force against you using people that they pay with more paper rectangles that will put you in prison that are also paid for by paper rectangles. And they can print those indefinitely. But that trick is only going to work for the American public. So how can they force the rest of the world to use their little paper rectangles? Well, the quick answer is the United States military. After Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, his globalist sidekick, Henry Kissinger, went to the Saudi royal family and cooked up a deal that essentially came down to this. You sell your oil using our paper rectangles, you can only buy oil with our dollar and we will be your personal army. By forcing the rest of the world to pay with the US dollars, our paper rectangles will still have demand in the rest of the world. And in return, we send our troops to go and die in the Middle East over and over again. Anytime those oil interests or the interests of the bankers are threatened. And if the American people don't want to go to war because they don't understand this agreement, we'll just lie to them. We'll tell them we are spreading democracy around the world or protecting our so-called allies. And that, my friend, is what money is. Not a storage of wealth, but a military force, provided by the blood and sacrifice of a propagandized public, most of which will never bother to question the system, because they are all too busy trying to get more paper rectangles. Shout out my cousin Alfred on the backhand, making all this possible. That was a good one. I was gonna make that a kid's book.